All right. Good morning. Good morning, Chot. So that's your office ba? That's
My no, yeah, my home office.
your home
Yeah,
office. So
because
kamusta naman ang quarantine mo? Kamusta ang quarantine?
pretty good actually because since I retired middle of last year from corporate, I decided to pursue my executive and business coaching full time and my expanding Tony and Guy the salon.
Oh.
I've already been working from home even before the quarantine and the lockdown. So work from home na talaga ako. So
Okay.
I was essentially already working from home. So this wasn't such a big adjustment for me. I'd
Okay.
go out for my talks. I'm very active in the corporate speaking circuit and do
Mhm.
some workshops. But essentially, since August of last year, I've been essentially working from wala na akong official corporate, although Coachcom, my company has an office in Tectite.
Okay.
Tony and Guy also, the central office is there. It's not something that I have to go to work every day to report
Oo.
to work, diba?
Oh,
So
that's interesting. I didn't know you're part of Tony and Guy. Kamusta?
yeah.
How was it so far in the quarantine and how did it
Well,
affect?
yeah, it's a struggle. It's a struggle because, as you know, we cannot operate.
Mhm.
So we've already passed 2 months, and the problem, the difficulty with being an entrepreneur, is you're really worried about the livelihood of your people. Yun
Oo.
talaga. That's
Yes.
really
Oo.
what keeps us up at night. Especially my wife.
Mm.
That's what keeps us up at night because we're worried. We have about 110 people under us. We have six salons nationwide, but the others are franchised. The ones that we actually own are three. So we have
Mhm.
people who are working under us, and they're having a difficult time.
Mhm.
So
But
uh,
in GCQ, you're allowed to operate, correct?
Well, that's last Sunday. They came to the salon in Mall of Asia. See, DTI and IATF came to inspect because I think our advantage as Tony and Guy, because we have a London main office principal. They had already cascaded to us and downloaded a lot of the safety precautions.
Oo.
So meron na kaming PPE, meron kaming single-use capes, single-use masks, single-use gowns for the
Oo.
clients. So hopefully we be allowed in the GCQ. Right now they're saying in the modified GCQ pa, but
Ah,
I think they came to look at some salons who are already prepared. Kasi kami we've already been prepared for more than a month already because like I said, in the Tone and Guy system worldwide, there are already salons operating in Beijing, in Australia, in China, Australia, in Italy already is operating,
hmm,
Denmark, Sweden. So marami na around the world.
oo.
So they've been able to share with us already the protocols, the safety protocols. So we're ready.
That's good.
Sanitizing, sterilization, may UV light in the
Oo.
salon, all of that. So if as client, you'll feel very safe coming in.
Pero
So
yung
hopefully sa GCQ, hopefully payagan.
the capacity would be the same ba? Or you'll have to half it also?
No, at the GCQ, it's 50%.
Okay.
So yung seats namin, alternate. So if we have a 10-seater, we will only use 5.
Okay.
And I think may guidelines ang WHO or DTI on if on your space you can only have one person per 4 square meters, parang ganun. So
Ah,
if you have a 20, if you have a 70 square meter salon, you can have 15, 16 people. Kasama na yung staff, staff and clients yun. So yeah,
okay.
yeah. So that's going to be. So we're abiding with all of that, and we're prepared. My staff has been going through daily training even during the ECQ because my wife, she's a hairdresser herself and she's a trainer. So every
Ah,
day they do Zoom training every day in the morning, and then in the afternoon they have training from London. So there's a British, a foreign
Ay,
trainer
galing,
more PUSO extra. So they've kept sharp all throughout
the the quarantine.
the quarantine. Yeah.
Ang galing nga. And sabi nga nila that will pick up the the grooming beauty
Yeah,
in
hopefully.
in
Oh,
general. Kasi you have a lot of Zoom session, you want to look good in Zoom sessions, you know.
yes.
Uh,
Parang lumalabas, parang almost essential yung salon. Kasi
oo,
kami talaga nagme-message sa amin, please, 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 kailangan ko na ng haircut, kailangan ko na ng color.
oo.
Buti
Oo,
na lang ako, ganito na yung kulay ng buko, hindi ko na kailangan pakulay.
oo, di ba? Parang, of course, we want to look good even you're working from home and
Yes,
doing
syempre, di ba? Oo, correct.
stuff like this. So, so before we start, so what's your relationship with basketball now? Wala na, your arm's length or you're
Yeah.
still...
Wala na. I've completely I'm no longer involved with the Gilas program. I'm of course I'm still very connected to the industry in terms of advisor in an advisory capacity to some groups, some players, some people. But on officially wala na. I am after 30 years in the coaching
Wow.
business, as you can imagine, it's a very toxic, pressure-packed
Oo, environment.
situation, di ba? Alam mo
But,
naman sa basketball,
oo nga.
it's tough, yeah.
But how is it different from the business coaching side? Is it different, the same?
There are a lot of differences and similarities. Obviously, the differences in basketball, the decisions have to be made split second. Diba? You don't have the benefit of, teka, let's analyze this, let's talk to our people. It's very instant. You have to make a decision right away. Thousands of decisions in one game, in fact.
In one way.
So it's very different in that sense. In the basketball game, kita mo kagad yung resulta. Pag panalo ka o talo ka, nandun kagad sa scoreboard. In business, sometimes, it will take you a quarter or a year before you see those metrics. But the similarities are, to succeed in basketball and to succeed in business, you have to have great teams around you. You have to learn how to motivate and inspire your people. You win with your people. It takes great leadership as well. You have to have a very good mindset. And there's so many similarities, and that's why I think what I'm able to bring to my executive engagements and business coaching engagements is that background. Coming from that high stress, high pressure situation, I can share my experience on how to be able to navigate through that stress and that anxiety. Especially now, I get all mga tanong sa akin ngayon is how to cope with this pandemic, diba? The anxiety, the stress, the overwhelm.
Oh.
And although not in the same magnitude, I've been through that as the coach of the national basketball team, lalo na dito sa Pilipinas, di ba? Pag panalo yung team, ang galing ng players. Pag talo yung team, ang tanga ng coach. It's always your fault. And I'm pretty active on social media. Can you imagine the bashers and the kind of, di ba? And the kind of bashing I got every time the Philippine team loses. So I've been there. I've been to the highest of highs, lowest of lows. So I can share that, di ba? And how you can bounce back and recover from those things. Yun ang importante sa resilience.
All right, sige, let's start it. I'm really interested, and I'm sure a lot of people are interested to know how we should cope, we should cope up with the situation, and what are the right mindsets. So, all right, we'll start. All right, thank you. And we're here talking to Stan. Thank you for talking to All right, good morning, good morning. Welcome to our one-on-one with Coach Chot Reyes. For those watching in the replay or those watching live now, you can actually put your questions in the comment section, or you can reach out to Chot Reyes directly. We'll be talking about how to think about high performance in the post-COVID world and how to have a more one-on-one. This is a one-on-one experience with Chot Reyes. And good morning, Chot. Coach
Good
Chot.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Anton. Thanks for inviting me. Naimbita rin ako dito sa wakas.
Yes. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting for me because we talk about chefs, travel, and business coaching is really actually very important. The reason also I wanted to talk to you kasi nga there are a lot of food entrepreneurs heavily impacted. The travel industry lalo, 'di ba? Nobody's
Yes,
traveling.
yes.
Um so maybe the first question is what should be our mindset as we go into June now to think about this, to cope up with it, and what should we do? What works in your point of view, and what does not work anymore in this new world that we're going into?
Well, let me just distill it in a very simple form because there's to be able to answer that takes a whole slew of solutions. But I think a very important mindset to take what into this surviving or coping in the post-COVID world is to have continue having a growth mindset. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners and viewers have already heard this. Carol Dweck, famous, I think, Stanford professor and an author, came up with this principle. She wrote a book on it actually, and she said essentially there are people of two mindsets. There are two kinds of mindsets in people: the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. The fixed mindset says, this is already my intelligence, my personality, pinanganak akong ganito, this is already fixed. There's nothing I can do with this anymore. On the other hand, the growth mindset says, I can learn, I can develop a talent, a skill, I can even get more intelligent, I can develop my personality. And I think the research shows that the successful people are those with the growth mindset because they value the process more than just the result. And I think in this situation that we find ourselves in, it is more critical, more important than ever to continuously have that growth mindset, to know that, I have this business, it was doing very well, and then it got hit by COVID. The fixed mindset people will say, that's it, wala na. They're going to wallow in despair, self-pity, hopefully not depression, and they're going to have a hard time getting unstuck. The fixed mindset, the growth mindset people will say, wow, sayang naman itong pinaghirapan ko, pinundar ko lahat ito, sayang. But you know what? I'm gonna find a way. This is just a bump on the road. Okay, my restaurant was doing very well. My catering business was doing very well. But it's time to move on and look for something else to do. And we can find there's the science behind it. Our brains are continuously growing. They call that, when you're having a difficult time, it's continuing to myelinate and all that. All of the pathways in our brains are constantly growing and improving. So for me, what works in this world, in what we have today, is just to have that growth mindset, that spirit that will constantly tell you that we are here. It's very difficult, but you know what? We will find a way. And that's where all of my coaching, my mentoring centers upon having the heart of a leader. That's the other thing that I want to say. What's
Mhm.
going to work in this post-COVID world, what I call life after lockdown? What's going to work is really having the heart of a leader. The old individual heroic type of leadership, those leadership models, I'm the boss, I'll do this Superman theory of leadership, it will no longer work. It no longer works. You see that all over now. What works now is a leadership model that is more inclusive, that's able to build teams around them, and a leadership model that is able to capture the heart of their people. And that's why I put together a heart model for leadership. And because in the post-COVID world, what we will need as leaders, as business owners, is to have the heart of a leader. And that means We should take care of getting the engagement of our people, and acquiring their and being empathetic and acquiring their heart more than anything else. So those are the things that, just off the top.
Uh,
Number one, growth mindset. That number one is a growth mindset. Number two, the old individual heroic model of leadership no longer works. Number three, you have to have the heart of a leader.
okay. Can you tell us more about the heart of the leader? I know you're known for the PUSO
Yeah,
campaign, di ba?
yeah.
But syempre, our business is down. How can you like change that mindset? Isipin mo lang ba na you change it overnight? How does it work?
Well, that's a good point. You can't change a mindset overnight, but the way it works is, first of all, to be aware of it. We have a saying in the coaching practice, in the coaching industry, that awareness is curative. A lot of times when you're aware of something, you're aware of your problem, that in itself is the solution, or the solution shows itself right away, but you have to be aware of it first. Self denial is not going to cut it, so that's not going to work. So this perfect example of an awareness is sa amin dito sa Tony and Guy in the salon business. I told our people, when we reopen, forget about going back to what it used to be. And people keep talking about the new normal, new normal. I prefer to call it the new reality. Wala na tayong babalikan na dati kasi iba na talaga eh. So we should all be prepared for that. So the first thing is an awareness. That's how it works. And then you have to understand your mindset, what's bothering you, what's getting in the way, and then you have to have an ability to still yourself first, to have a calm your mind. Because, Anton, what I've learned, the more chaotic things are around us, the more important stillness and calmness has to be inside of us. So lalong magulo yung paligid natin, kailangan mas centered tayo at mas kalmado tayo sa loob. And those
Yes.
are one of the things I learned in basketball. Pag nagkakagulo na sa lahat, sa game, yung tao
Oo.
nagkakagulo, then the more you have to be focused inside. So that's the second part, the awareness. The second thing is to still yourself, still your mind, because in that stillness, in that space, which a lot of people would call emotional intelligence, stimulus and response, there's a space in between. In that space, you are going to give yourself an opportunity to discover or to find what the next step is, or to make better decisions. Diba? The reason a lot of times we make poor decisions is because stimulus respond kagad tayo. So nawawala yung in between that space.
But
So
how
yeah.
but how do you what do you recommend for to still the mind? Do you do meditation ba
Yes.
or
in
how?
in in our practice, when I coach people in our one-on-one practice, even when I do workshops for groups of people, we actually do breathing exercises. The mind is the king of our senses, and the king of our mind is our breath. And the way that you can still yourself is if you breathe the right way. I think a lot of us, unconsciously, we breathe the wrong way. When we inhale, we expand our chest. And the problem when you do that, if you do that physically now, when you inhale, you will feel your heart rate increasing. It's pumping faster. So how can you relax, diba? So we teach the right way to breathe. When you inhale, it has to go through, dapat ang lumalaki yung chan mo.
Okay. And then you exhale through the mouth or to the
And
nose?
there are different ways. There's the Wim Hof method, makes you exhale through the mouth. Brian McKenzie, another very good breath expert, makes you do nasal breathing, inhale mouth, nose, and exhale nose as well. They're just yoga breathing is different. There is
Mhm.
the Navy SEALs, the box technique, breathing technique. There's a lot of different ways, but everything goes to the part of being able to still yourself, because the most important thing in chaos is to be present. Is you've got to be, present. And the reason why we are filled with anxiety and overwhelmed, especially at this time, because nagwo-worry na tayo, nahahalo yung nasa stress tayo sa nangyayari now, nahahalo pa sa ano yung mangyayari, sa worry natin about the future. 'Di ba? So that's where anxiety and psychological stress come in. When you are overwhelmed with what's happening now, the pressures of now, and the worries of tomorrow. 'Di ba? Pag naghalo yan, dun talaga yung stress eh. And so, when I work with my clients, I say I'm not telling you that I'll show you the answer or the solution, but I will give you that space. I will help you get to that space where together we might co-discover what your path is or what your solution moving forward is.
Okay.
So that's
Maybe
the important thing.
oh, and sometimes during these times, sometimes you need a mentor. I know you're doing one-on-one mentorship.
Yeah.
Maybe can you share with us what's the process ba, or how do you do your one-on-one mentorship in case somebody wants to get in touch with you and know more about how do your method?
Yeah. Well, it's very straightforward. You get in touch with me. We talk. We have an initial 45-minute session, which is, if, of course, it's complimentary. There's no strings, no payment there. And then we discover what we can work with. If we are going, it is going to be a good idea to continue working together. And then typically it's a 6-month engagement where we agree on really certain metrics. It's not this, something to feel good lang, or something that's abstract. It has to be in most of my engagements, and I work mostly with executives kasi there really is an objective or a goal that we are targeting. It might be a change in behavior, or it might be an ability to deal with something, an ability or to build a skill, or to expand an existing or broaden an existing skill. And then we have one-on-one sessions just like this. I used to do it live, and then every week on the phone. But now with Zoom, all of my clients now are Zoom calls. So we're having one-on-one discussions, typically 45 minutes. But it's there's really no time limit. If it needs 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever it takes. That's how the session goes. So we typically get together. We have a Zoom call once a week or once every 2 weeks, at least once every 2 weeks, most often once a week. And then ganun lang. It goes on, and we discuss. There will be times that I will give the person I'm working with something to, parang a kind of an assignment, kind of a homework. I will tell them, okay, for this next week, make sure when you wake up, fix your morning habits. Because for me, that's how you develop. If you want to learn something new, you have to develop a new habit. And I always tell them the easiest way to train yourself to do that is to fix your daily habits. And I tell them, win your mornings. Ano ba yung umaga mo? Pagising mo, telepono ka kagad, social media ka kagad. Can you imagine what kind of day you're going to have, right? So
Oh,
yeah,
I
so ako, I'm a big stickler for that. So I have a very very strict routine. I'm up at 5:30 every morning, and I share that with my clients as well. And for me, kasi it's very important that when you win your morning, then you've won your day already, and that's a kind of a habit that we pursue. So
So no email in the morning. Ano bang suggestion?
it depends, but it has to be part of your routine. So yeah, I would suggest no email when you wake up. Uh, uh, the best way is you put a specific time for work. So if your
Okay.
work is 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock talaga, or 10 o'clock, 10 to 2 ka lang, whatever, then that's where you check your email. Or even within that work time, hopefully you you have email time there. So it has to make sure you build that into your, make sure you're able to build that into your habit and into your routine. But ako,
Oh.
I get up at 5:30.
Mhm.
I do my stretching, I do my breath work, I do my workout, I'll do my journaling, or I'm uh, I'm writing up a new lesson, or a new module, for example, or I'm just writing down thoughts. I'm hopefully trying to write a book. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get there. So in that morning, before having my breakfast, nakapag-exercise na ako, nakapag-breath work na ako, nakapagsulat na ako. And then, after breakfast, then okay na. Then I can do whatever is on my plate for that day. After, before, on the breakfast table, dun ko lang titignan yung aking phone. So I might have been up already 2 hours, 2.5 hours, even before I first look at my phone. And then after breakfast, I'll get into my email. Diyan ko lang titignan yung email ko. So, so it's something that's very, if you
Yes.
take a look, if you study the most successful people all over, you will find that most of them have a very strict
Routine.
routine. Di ba? They
Question.
have, yeah.
How do you consume news naman? What's your suggestion for news? In the morning also, or
Yeah,
how do you filter the news also?
very little. I just consume the news for information, and we basically know most of what we know already. So,
Uh-uh.
yun sa breakfast. That's going to be my breakfast routine. It's on breakfast. Then I'll have this perhaps
Ah.
while having and all that. I have some hacks as well on working out for
Oo.
people who have
Paano
a
yan?
hard time. Yeah. Well, let me explain first the heart model para mas maano, because, and
Sige.
like I say, I don't, people who have heard me speak live know that I don't use PowerPoint or decks, because if I'm talking to a group of executives or employees or managers in a company, the last thing they would want to see from a speaker is another deck, because we're all PowerPointed out of our minds, I think, at work. I know, because I ran TV5 for 3 years. I was working as an executive for a long time. So I know that a lot of people in the workplace, they're already PowerPointed out of their mind. So the last thing they want to see is another deck. So, so for me in Zoom, I like to take people, instead of sharing my screen and putting the you or the viewers through another deck, I'd like to go to something that I'm familiar with, which is my game board, di ba? So ito yung game board ko.
Oo nga.
So the the heart model of leadership is very simple. And ang problema ko kasi yung ink ko. So at the center of everything is our heart, and like I say, and the foundation of that heart model, the letter H stands for health. So we have to be physically healthy. That's the most important thing. Think about it. All of our problems as an executive, as a business owner, as a blogger, whatever, as a writer, as an artist, hindi ka makakoncentrate, hindi ka makafocus, wala kang energy. Chances are those have physical cause, physical root, di ba? Anong kinain mo, anong oras ka na natulog, anong nag-breakfast, nag-workout ka ba, pinawisin ka ba? So for me, to be successful in the post-COVID world, in this life after lockdown, what works is to be in shape. We all have to really take care of our physical health, and I don't mean being in athletic elite athlete shape, like the pros and all that, but at least have an exercise routine, 15-30 minutes a day. And a lot of people have a hard time with that. So I have some hacks on it, so workout. And I posted this, if you go back through my Instagram feed, you'll see that. So for example, in my coffee maker downstairs, I put my ab machine right beside it. So that, for me, that's a trigger. Every time I make my coffee in the morning, I will do 30 crunches on my ab machine. So katabi ng ab machine ko, there's a resistance band. I'll put it around on my knees, and then I'll do my leg work. And then sa baba, where I do that leg work, there is handles for my push-ups. So then from that, I'll do my 25 push-ups. So, pag then tapos na yung kape ko, magbe-breakfast na ako. So whatever happens in the day, whether mag full workout ako hindi, I already had 25 crunches, 25 crunches, 25 push-ups, and I did some leg work already. So
Galing.
these are the little hacks, di ba? So yung
Oo.
ibang clients ko, sa hagdanan niya, pagbaba niya, may jump rope siya doon. Maski anong gawin
Oh,
niya, araw-araw dinadaanan niya yung jump rope, talagang mapapa-jump rope siya. If you do it for 30 seconds, 1 minute, sinong hindi kaya naman yun, di ba?
oo.
So for me, that is the heart of the leadership model, the foundation is health, physical health. And then sustained by the from physical health. We the next part, letter E, is emotional intelligence. And more, especially in the 21st century, they're saying the ability to self-regulate, to control yourself, control and manage your emotions, manage the way you interact with others, is really more and more becoming the most critical skill in the 21st century. So health, emotional intelligence, A stands for agility. You have to have an agile mindset. So how do you cope with life after lockdown, especially if you've lost your business, or your current gig today is no longer working? You have to be agile. So that means you have to be a proactive scanner of the environment. Take a look at what's going on, what's happening, what resonates with you, what speaks to your mind, is there a lack in the market today. So yun yung agility. Pero kasama ng agility is resilience. That's letter R of the heart model is resilience. And because in the future, you will be disrupted. Whatever we do in the future, whatever business or endeavor we undertake in the future, we will be disrupted, we will meet failure, we will meet rejection. And that's why you've got to be resilient. And this pandemic, the one thing it teaches all of us is the value of grit and resilience, the ability to recover. And people call it the ability to bounce back. I say, instead of bounce back, what about bouncing forward? So I got that concept from Sheryl Sandberg in her wonderful book, Option B. Sheryl Sandberg is the CEO of Facebook. And she said it's possible because she lost her husband in very traumatic circumstances. And she said it's possible to have post-traumatic growth. It is possible. So yun yung essence of bounce forward. So yun yung heart model: health, emotional intelligence, agility, resilience, and finally this whole thing, all of that will be scaled by your ability to build great teams. So letter T is teammanship. So if you're just an individual contributor, how can you become the best team player possible? If you're a leader, how can you lead? How can you build the best teams? And that's what I'm finding today. And more and more, I'm getting a lot of requests for team coaching. Aside
Oo.
from just individual coaching, it's coaching teams. Kasi hindi tayo tinuruan yan, di ba? Hindi tayo tinuruan yan sa eskwela eh. But, everywhere you go, whether you're running your own business or you're an executive, people
Yes.
are expecting you to build great teams. Wala. I graduated. I have an MBA. Nobody ever taught. I've never seen a course called Team Building 101 or the
Oo, wala.
fundamentals. Wala, di ba?
Oo.
But I am a certified team coach. So in my coaching practice, I have that certification. And for example, if your team at Awesome Planet, I don't think there's anything wrong with you personally, Anton, or your right hand person or whatever. But what needs to get worked on is the connections. So yun yung
Mm.
team coaching. We're coaching the connections. How can
Nice.
we make your team function at greater than the sum of your parts? Yun yung
Okay.
team coaching. And now what we're seeing more and more in the future, this is really what we need. We really need leaders who are able to put great teams together to navigate to navigate the ambiguities and uncertainties of this world, because this is a very, very big disruption, the COVID, but this is
Mhm.
not going to be our last disruption, di ba? Even
Hindi na,
after
oo.
this, yeah, something else is going to come up. So,
Oo. Baka pumutok ulit yung tal, you don't know.
yeah, exactly, di ba? So you ask yourself the question, how healthy is my team? What is the stamina or the endurance of your team? How healthy
Yes,
is my team? Have we built great emotional intelligence in our ability to relate with ourselves? Are we agile? Are
okay.
we agile, 'di ba? Have we built, as a leader, your team, you can ask yourself, have we built resilience in our team, 'di
Okay,
ba?
two more questions. One is people are talking about pivoting, and what do you think about pivoting? Is there a right way to do it, or not? And kasi we have a friend, si Jomag of Potato Corner. Sabi niya he saw some people do pivoting wrongly, no? Na parang the pivoting is a basketball
The term, yeah.
term, which is you put one foot firmly, 'di ba? While the
Yeah.
other foot moves around. So, just wanted to get your point of view kasi some people really get out of a totally different business. What's the right or what's your suggestion for pivoting in this new world?
Yeah, that's a great point by Jomag. In basketball, if you pivot the wrong way, traveling violation yun.
Oh,
Bawal
yeah.
yun.
Oo.
Mapapasama. That will lead to a turnover. So
Yes.
he's completely right. You have to pivot the right way. And the way to do that is really to figure out, first of all, when you do pivot, you have to start from a high sense of self-awareness. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in. The foundation
Correct.
of emotional intelligence, self-awareness. You have to be very aware what your strength is, what you can do, or what your team or what your business can do. Kasi nakita mo to, oy, gawin natin to, pero kaya mo ba gawin yun, di ba? I mean, if
Oo.
you're given years and years to learn a skill, I'm sure makakaya natin. But do we have the time, di ba? So
Ah,
I think that, so the first, for me, the key to pivoting, you start with self-awareness. So that's the whole key. And then
good.
take a look. Is there a need? Is there a need for it? Is there an addressable market? All these little things that I'm sure the other gurus can teach better than me. But for me, that's the key. And
No,
your ability to pivot is really dependent on your agility, on how agile your mindset. Do you have learning agility? Because when you pivot to something new, there's going to be a learning curve, di ba?
mm,
So do you have learning agility, or are you just like this? Again, we're going to go back to that growth mindset. So
okay.
those are my initial thoughts on it. Yeah.
Okay, question. On connection on Teams. Now, one of the difficult part in connection these days is because you have the Gen X, you have the millennials, now you have the centennials, or the Gen. How any tip on connecting on different levels? I'm sure there are a lot different ways to connect with them, and you've encountered them with because you're doing executive coaching. How do you, just a quick tip lang? How do you connect with different generations?
I think that's why I said the old ways, yung panahon namin, the type of leadership na, oy, ako yung boss, this is what we should do, this is how we should do it, no longer works. The Gen X today, the anong tawag natin, the Zoomers, di ba?
The Zoomers.
Millennials, Gen Z na nga ngayon, di ba? So, I always remind the executives I work with what they are looking for, the way to motivate. We cannot motivate them. Motivation comes from within. The only real motivation is internal motivation, because the young kids, the Gen X, the Zoomers, the millennials of today, they are not impressed by our title, by our experience, by our credentials. Baliwala sa kanila yon. But they want to be motivated, they want to be inspired. How do you do it? Internal motivation. Just remember, autonomy, mastery, purpose. The millennials and the Zoomers today, they want to know that they can steer their own ship, that they can steer their ship well, and they know where to go, and they're doing it for a larger purpose. So if you're able as a leader to build an environment, a work environment that is going to generate and build the autonomy, mastery, and purpose of your people, then that's what I mean. Then you would have captured the heart. Then you would have captured the heart of your people. And then that's when they will say, that's my boss, that's my leader. They won't say that's the boss or that's the leader. They will say that's my boss, that's my leader. Yun yung capturing the heart of your people.
Wow, that's good. And last question lang. This is really interesting. So, the heart, the heart of a leader is really interesting. How do you set metrics for that?
Um, the health part is very easy kasi ano yun numbers yung health, di ba? What is
Oh,
your
yes.
blood, what's your heart rate when you start after your first set?
Ayan,
You know,
madali.
I ask my people to actually the people I work with, I actually ask them ano yung heart rate mo pagising mo, ano yung heart rate mo pag are you
Ah,
doing your breathing exercises? So you know the emotional intelligence part naman, we take a look at that. Did you do your breathing exercises? How many minutes? How many ganito? So then that's the starting point, and then you can measure that by talking to the people around them.
okay.
Kasi the stakeholders, that's what people forget now when I talk to people and even with teams, that there are stakeholders around you. So in my engagements, I also talk to either the boss, the peer, and the direct report. 360, di ba? Mainit ba ulo ni Anton? Ganito, pagkano, naninigaw ba kagad yan? And so on and so forth. So the different things are available there. And there are also all sorts of assessments. There are a lot of assessments for emotional intelligence,
Okay.
agility, and there are even resilience, grit and resilience assessments. And people talk a lot about grit, and I'm a big believer in grit. But resilience is not only about grit. Grit is just one part of resilience. So when we have our full session, we can dive down to it. But yeah, you can measure a person's resilience as well.
Oh, that's
Um,
good. All right. I learned a lot, Coach John,
thank
in
you,
this
thank you.
good session. And maybe just to close this discussion this morning, any message to the people experiencing, disruption at this time, and how can we inspire them to think about it differently? And I know you are running your own Tony and Guy, so any last final advice for them?
Well, to the people who are experiencing disruption and problems, and we're very anxious today, um, I think the one thing that I can just share with you, is I've been there. I've been through periods in my career when I was fired and at the worst, at the deepest depths and at the doldrums. Uh, but the time when I lost my job was the time where I was forced to really face and take a look at what my shortcomings were, and I think that was a time where I learned a lot of things, and essentially I found the purpose in that pain. So it's the same thing that I'm sharing with you today. Find the purpose in the pain. Uh, I always tell when we used to give basketball clinics to little kids, when they lose a game, inevitably they will cry, iyak sila kasi natalo sila, and I always remind them, lose the game but never lose the lesson. As difficult as it may seem, as it is now, that is my suggestion. Find the purpose in the pain. Choose faith over fear, because this too will end, like everyone says. But the most important thing is take a step back and find a way to bounce forward, because post-traumatic growth is possible. The ability to bounce forward is possible regardless how traumatic the crisis or the experiences that you've been through. That's for the individual contributors. To the leaders, I think my message is what this pandemic is showing us is that our country, we're really in the midst of a leadership crisis. I mean, look around you. You know, in government, communities, organizations, we really need better leaders. There's really a dearth of leaders, and one of my main purpose with Coach Com is to help develop the next generation of great leaders. And I hope that is you, to the leaders who are listening today. Um, Great leadership, in the same manner as this virus is contagious, so is great leadership. Optimism, positivity, great leadership is contagious. Be the vaccine. Be the vaccine. Lead with heart. Lead with heart. Capture your people's heart, and find a way to give, to share, and you will find how beneficial your willingness and your ability to give of yourself, your time, your resources is to others. And in the end, uh, that's my message. Be the vaccine. Be the vaccine in this leadership pandemic that we have. That's it. Thank you, Ni. Thank you, Anthony. I can't hear.
Can we have a photo? Can we have a photo?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, for the thumbnail nitong video. Okay, wait ah. One, two. Okay, one more. One, two. All right. Thank you, Coach. Can you? I'm sure there are a lot of people who are inspired by this interview. Can you tell about the program that you're running on your one-on-one coaching program? The specific details.
Yeah. Just follow me. I'm all over social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. There's a Chot Reyes page on Facebook. And we are on June 20. We're running the second run of the uh, high performance, building high performance teams module with Alpha future proof organization. Where I'm partnered with them, and that's where we talk about the heart of a leader, how to future fit our organizations. We cannot really future proof ourselves or our organizations because we don't even know what the future is bringing, but we can future fit, and we can be future fit. That means we can prepare ourselves for whatever the future is going to give us and whatever is in store for us in the future. In the end, I think that's the best thing we can do is just to be prepared, and be future fit. And the way to do that, to have a heart of a leader.
Nice, nice. Ang galing, galing, galing. Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And we're here talking to thank you for talking. All right. Galing, galing, galing.
Okay.
Galing. I like yung bouncing forward is really good mindset. Actually, the first time I heard it from you, I know Sheryl
Yeah.
Sandberg, but
Yeah.
it's really interesting to think about that. And then future fit also, first time I've learning a lot from a lot of people. First
Yeah.
time I heard all of this.
Yeah. Well, because we heard a lot, and the interesting part is we put together the future fit thinking
Hmm.
late last year, pa even before COVID, because
Talaga?
I was already telling the people that I was talking to, and they invite me for talks, and you can ask them. I will tell them, you will be disrupted. Mark my words, you will be disrupted. It's not a question of if or when, but it is going to. It's not a question of if, but when. Hindi ko naman ibig sabihin na virus pa lang magdi-disrupt sa kanila, but sa atin, di ba? But sabi ko, we will all be disrupted. So you cannot future proof yourself, but you can be future fit. Just be ready, be prepared, di ba? Because we cannot predict the future, but we can be prepared.
Pero ano sa tingin mo sa salon? How would that whole industry bounce forward?
I think it will be. I think it's going to take some time, but I think the industry will be fine because, like you said, uh, it is something that it's not only an aesthetic need; it's also a need for well-being and mental wellness ng mga tao. Because they really need to have their cut or their color or their chismisan with their stylist, di ba? So it is really almost like a necessity. So I think the salon business will be fine, but it has to be the salons who are able to cope, who are agile enough to pivot and bring in the new cope with the new reality. And
Mm.
example is in our training now, it's not only the skills training but even safety training is built into it because now they have to be very conscious of those things.
Oh,
um,
okay.
but so there are countries in around the world. I think it was in Denmark or something, they didn't even close. They were It was
Dire-diretso lang, no?
Australia. Although Australia kasi hindi naman talaga nag-lockdown. So tuloy-tuloy
Oo.
lang si Australia.
Right.
So,
So, last question na. Promise. Last question.
no
But
problem,
this
have
is
time.
totally different because one of the things na I wanted to get into or learn more because we have four boys 15, 12, 10, 10 and 5. Now, I wanted to get your thoughts about esports. And I was looking for coaches for esports and one day or maybe because of COVID, esports UAP will have embrace esports program. What do you think about all this esports thing and why or what does it take for the whole industry to get into it? At the same time, if you have a son that plays a lot of Fortnite now or other games because of COVID, how can we teach them right like sports mindset? I know this is a lot, but just
No,
wanted to get your
you don't know that I'm the president of the PCCL esports of
no, I didn't know.
PCCL. When I was the president of TV5, or even before I was president, I was running TV5 Sports 5. I was
Oo.
running as the head of Sports 5. 5 years ago na yon. Kami unang-una nagpalabas ng esports sa TV. We
Wow.
showed the Dota World Championships
Oo.
on Action TV ng TV5.
Mm-mm.
So that means I really believe in esports because
Yes.
esports is everything traditional sports wants to be. Esports is digital, it is young, and it is all over. Anyone can play, can be an e-athlete, di ba? Anyone.
Oh.
You don't have to be tall, strong, jump high. Anyone can do it. So
Oh.
I'm a big believer. That's why we put together a youth esports program.
Oo. Paano yan?
Yung
How's
partner
that?
namin ng Mineski. Ang
Okay.
PCCL, the Philippine College Champions League, every year for the past 20 years, kami nagpapatakbo nung post-UAP, post-NCAA tournament. 'Di ba yung top 4 ng UAP, top 4 ng
Oo,
NCAA,
yes.
top 4 ng Cebu, they
Oo.
come together for a
Yes.
national championship, laban-laban sila.
Pero
And then
walang esports yan di ba? Wala pa kayong esports
until
yan.
last year, nag-start na kami last year, and then now we're making it bigger. And now, sabi ng NCAA, they're thinking of including esports in their calendar. So hopefully we're able to get the NCAA as well and the UAP. So
Question.
malapit na yan.
Oh,
Malapit na
paano?
yan.
So how do we prepare our kids? Siyempre, lahat games lang sila ng games. Kaya how do you prepare the kids? Wala kasing
Yeah,
like in school, there's varsity for basketball and stuff.
correct.
But nobody's
Wala.
embracing esport. They don't like it pa nga, di ba? They don't encourage it. But in Korea,
Ayaw ng schools. But some are more advanced. I think Benedictine, uh, almost all schools now have esports organizations. Pero hindi pa lahat rinirecognize ng school administration.
oh,
Pero
exactly.
lahat ng eskwela meron ng esports org. So the way
Okay.
you prepare them, and I sponsored before the national team natin sa Dota World Championships eh. We really have a nutritionist, we have a physical therapist, may trainer. It's really like basketball. Kailangan talaga may physical conditioning. So
Ah,
if I were you, I will tell your son, okay, kung gusto mong gawin yan, fine. But number one, syempre, wag mong pabayaan pag-aaral mo. And
mm,
number two, make sure he has a strict workout regimen. Kasi ang pinakaayaw mo dyan, di ba, sila minsan, 12 hours na, hindi lalabas ng kwarto, hindi kakain, hindi maliligo, hindi
oo.
matutulog. Yun lang kalaban mo. You support their training because they really have to train and practice a lot. But
Mm.
make sure they are physically fit. And the way to convince them is to tell them the best teams in the world, they all have a physical fitness routine now. So yung pag-condition siya, it will help his esports. It's going to make him think faster, reaction niya, reflexes niya, hand-eye coordination niya, mas mabilis, lahat yun. But they have to
Question.
be in shape, yeah.
Meron kang kailangan, because I wanted to do that a program, kasi wala kang program parang a summer program or even an online program lang just to, syempre sometimes all our kids don't listen to the parents. But let's say a coach, an e-coach talaga that runs a program even like for just 1 week lang or maybe, kasi most of the e-coaching now is specific to a game So like the fighting games or
Yeah.
battle royale. So, do you know anybody who's working in this space?
Wala. I know of an esports trainer. Yeah, meron siya. Pero what do you mean by a program? Parang
Di ba, like for example, if you like summer program
basketball
designer.
clinic. Yeah.
Oh, parang basketball varsity clinic, di ba? Di ba may mga
Okay.
ganun mga 8 programs
Yeah,
para like
that's
learn.
yun isa sa mga plano namin dapat yun na COVID
Bakit
kami.
hindi mo na gawin? Coach,
Yeah.
gawin na natin.
We just did the lockdown games nung in-announce yung lockdown, so we put up the lockdown games and we raised 1 million for the frontliners.
Oh,
Sabi ko, di ba? So yeah, we can do that. Sabihin ko sa mga sa staff ko today.
Oo, maybe and then let's reconnect separately kasi anyway, all the schools are online naman, 'di ba? Homeschool,
Yeah.
online na lahat. Why not the sports also, 'di ba?
Esports. So ang nasa isip mo is an esports clinic, parang basketball clinic,
Yes, kasi ang maganda kasi with the basketball varsity program, 'di ba? Like for example, kailangan maganda yung grades mo, 'di ba? To be part of the varsity. May rules pa rin. I mean, may rules. Oo. But I'm looking kasi meron na ako nakilala na meet ng mga e-coach pero specific to a game kasi. Meaning kung fighting game, yun lang yung specialty niya and then they watch the games. But maybe there's a more general lang as a like a 101, 'di ba? And just to make sure na parang it would help also if you talk about it kasi the parents now don't think that these are all just games, 'di ba?
Laki ng kinikita kaya dyan.
Hindi, kaya nga. So like for example, if you take this on as a, parang can we create the next, esports heroes, di ba?
Yeah.
I mean, bakit Korea lang, di ba? Pwede naman tayo
And yung sa amin talaga, sa YEP, yung advocacy talaga is to realize that esports is a viable career. So, if you're not a gamer mismo na ikaw yung athlete, it's a career. You can be in production, in development, in whatever.
Oo, maybe.
Part of it.
Sige, so if you're interested, maybe we can work on something lang and then I'll help market that entire program. Just a pilot. Wala naman mawala. Everybody's playing games. Maybe even just to talk to parents about it kasi there are a lot of parents who frown upon it also, di ba?
Sure. Sige, let's keep in touch. You have my text. We have our cell phone numbers.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Bye-bye.